planning. Chris has been and Dave have been business partners for over 3 years, forming a top partnership in the mortgage business for Mortgage Alliance in Vancouver. Their team has grown to a total of 8 mortgage professionals, and I believe it might have even grown since this was written, providing experience and manpower to tackle any financing need across Canada. With over 45 years of combined experience, they provide solution for any financing need, whether residential, commercial, or private lending. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Roland, for the introduction. And yeah, that slide is a little out of date, but the experience of 45 years is mainly me. Dave's got 4 years of experience. I've got about 45 myself, I think. So this investment opportunity is a little bit of a combination between, I would say, the stock market investment and buying and selling real estate. So this is an investment into what's called the Mortgage Investment Corporation. What it is a mortgage investment corporation is a private lender. So they take a pool of investors' money and they lend it out on first and second mortgages throughout Canada. So in this case, you're sort of acting as the bank. As you can see from the slides here, you can invest into a mortgage investment corporation as more of a sophisticated or qualified investor. So it's not for everybody, but it does give you a little bit of exposure to certain markets in Canada. So you can choose a MIC, for example, that lends on, Vancouver Island, or the interior, or Ontario, or Quebec. So there's a little bit of geographic diversification here as well. So from Dave's participation in this group in the last, last quarter's meeting, we had a lot of clients reach out and they wanted to become private lenders. And the reality is, as an individual, if you're not a mortgage broker or a lawyer, it's very difficult to do. There's a lot of risk that can be incurred by that. For example, you have to go find a borrower, you have to find a lawyer, you have to do up your mortgage documents. What happens if that borrower doesn't pay you back? All your money is kind of tied up in one specific deal. So investing into a MIC allows a diversification of your investment, and you have a professional manager running the show for you. So if we can go to the next slide there, Roland. I just kind of covered off this stuff here, but again, it's like this is a mutual fund type investment. So you're putting your money in with other investors. A lot of these MICs are several $100 million in total asset value. Some of them, smaller ones are 50, some are 100. You can do your research and we can extrapolate some of the different classifications that they have in there for you. Go to the next slide here. Sorry for the small font, but I think Dan at the initial presentation was talking about Vancouver Island. I grew up in Parksville, so I know that market quite well. If you're interested in investing in that market, but you don't want to buy or can't afford to buy your own piece of property there, you can put money into the market in the 460 MIC. 460 is the number of kilometers. So Vancouver Island is 460 kilometers from top to bottom, which is where that name comes from there. So what you can do is you can invest money with these folks. They're great people. They also run 460 Realty, which some of you may know from your ventures over across the ferry there. What they do is they lend money on first and second mortgages. So people that are maybe real estate investors, maybe they need to do a renovation, can't go to the bank, they were turned down for whatever reason. These are the borrowers that the MICs are lending to. So the MIC is the middleman between yourself and the end borrower. Their return, and this is 2019, and I know the year-to-date numbers are quite strong given the market on Vancouver Island is up 100 and something percent, but they did just under 8%, and that's a net return last year. So what you're investing into is it's a minimum $5,000 investment. Your income is paid annually, so kind of like a GIC, but at a much more substantial interest rate return. 66% of their business is residential mortgages, so first and seconds. 22% is land, and the rest is some commercial construction. So you're getting a good diversification. Instead, again, of giving your money to one lender on one property and hoping they're going to pay you back, you're getting exposure to Courtenay, Campbell River, Victoria, Comox, Nanaimo, and anywhere probably in between. The second example I've given here is 3 Point Capital. They're really focused in Kelowna. That's where their headquarters at. Their return last year was 7%. They're, I think, at around 9 or so this year. These investments, typically you can put into your RSP. They're TFSA eligible. If you've got kids, you can put them into your RESP. And then 3 Points in this instance they pay their distributions out monthly. So you put 100 grand in, you're going to get 7 grand a year. They're going to take that, pay it per month or annually, whatever it is. So it is a passive investment, but the returns are significantly higher than putting this into a savings account, for example. The third example here is First Circle MIC. They're based out of North Vancouver. Great group of people there. Their return last year was just over 8%, 8.36%. They've got $120 million in mortgages lent, which it's a lot of money. And the interesting part is if you take a look at the risk profile, their loan to value. So obviously the total of the mortgages, and this would be first and second mortgages on their properties, is about 50%. So you've got a buffer there. If MICs are an interesting investment because when the economy's down, people need to borrow more expensive money. When the economy's up, people tend to not care about the cost of borrowing, so they go to the MIC. So the returns are correlated quite significantly to the real estate market and the economy, but there is that downside protection because you've got people that come out of the woodwork that need to do a construction project or renovation or what have you, and they're happy to pay 8 or 9% because it's such a short term. I'm sure everyone here is seeing deals where if only I could get financing from the bank. These are the type of people that the MICs cater to as clients. So weaknesses can be, if everyone here seems to be in real estate, you're obviously putting your money in a real estate investment where, for example, like Owen's investment idea where he's real estate heavy, but he's got a bit of his wealth in the stock market. There can be some diversification there, which can be helpful for you to kind of mitigate the ups and downs of the market. But I think we're all strong believers in real estate, and you have a professional firms that have been around for 20, 30, 40 years that have demonstrated an average return in, under high single digits. Sometimes these guys are putting out 10, 12% returns in some years as well. So it really just depends on where you're investing. You have an exposure. So I do this for a living. I put my money into a couple different MICs just in case there's, some sort of weird, it could be fraud, it could be anything, or maybe they're just, terrible money managers and they've ridden the market up. And when there's a downturn, you kind of see who's swimming without shorts when the tide goes out, so to speak. So there is that. That's a downside. They're not exactly liquid, so you can't go and sell these on your roll direct investing and get their money the next day. You're probably going to have a 30 to 60 day window to redeem your funds. So if you need the money for emergencies or what have you, then this is not an investment that you should partake in. And the other weakness, the last one is, it's boring. I mean, you're writing a check and getting a statement once a year. It's not exactly exciting times, but it does allow you to participate in the real estate market without actually having the ownership, headache, for example, of tenants or renovating or flipping or whatever have you. So it is exposure without exposure.
Thank you, Chris, for bringing that forward. Yeah, you got a lot of requests about investing in mortgages. So I love the fact that you brought us 3 great options.